Today we're going to swap out the camshafts and upgrade the springs. This is a big job, so I've enlisted the help of my dad. Let's get started. We're going to get started on this cam install. First thing to do is to get rid of all the stuff that's in the way. We're going to disconnect the battery and get to those valve covers. So we managed to get to the valve covers. We remove the fan, clean the heads where the valve covers were at. The first thing we're going to do is remove the springs, and in order to do that, we're going to need to remove the rollers, and then in order to keep the valves from falling into the cylinder head, we're going to put a rope through the spark plug hole and then crank the crankshaft so the piston will come up and compress the rope and the valves. We managed to get all the roller followers out, so the next step's going to be to get to the valve spring there. The way you get the valve spring out is you compress the spring down, pull the keepers out with a magnet, and then slowly decompress the spring, and it's free at that point. Here you can see where we've already replaced one, and then we've put the valve seal on there. And let me take you over here. This is the new comp cam spring, and I want to show you something. These keepers. So I haven't seen anything about these keepers, and I just want to show you kind of what they look like here. They're shaped kind of like a cone, and so this part that's going more narrow goes down, so like that. They kind of have grooves in them. But show you what we're doing here. You just kind of, and that's how they fit in there. This just kind of shows you the difference between the stock spring and the comp cam high lift spring. You can tell that this one's got a thicker coil, and the retainer is a little bit wider and slightly taller. So I kind of want to show you the entire process. The first thing we'll do is find where the piston is and get it approaching top dead center. That way we can put the rope in there. So that's what we'll do right now. First we got to get the spring off. My dad will grab the keepers once I have them loose.
Maybe.
Hopefully. They are loose, the valve is not going down. We got both of them. One foul swoop. We are replacing the valve seals as well, so we'll get the old one out of there with a custom tool that Dad made. I have a spark plug defouler. There's the old spring.
It just screws on there, sort of. A little bit. Just enough to bite. Pops right off.
You got the lack. This is the new valve seal from Felpro. Just stick it on there, put a little bit of grease on there. We use a 17mm socket to kind of push it all the way down to the head. Just like that. Now it's time to put the new spring on. Kind of try to line up the tool best you can to make sure the spring is compressed as straight down as possible. Okay. Okay, compressed down good.
Looking pretty good.
Gotta put grease on the keeper and on my finger, kind of hold it on there. Put it on there. What'd you say? Orient it around, make the next one easier. very careful with this part because it's the most crucial part. You don't want a keeper getting loose and dropping the valve when the engine's running. I think I got it in there. Let's slowly bring the spring back up. Mm-hmm. Pretty deep. Yeah, one time on the other side, spring put a bunch of pressure on one of the keepers and it went flying. Fortunately, it landed right on our blanket. It was there to keep something from falling on the ground. So we are ready to put the last cam in, and I wanted to show you what to do here. You want to put the transmission into 5th gear and set the e-brake. Then you come over here and look at the cam lobes and find which ones are pointing down. So these two are pointing down, this one's pointing down, and this one is pointing down. So we're gonna leave the rocker arms off on the roller followers off on those. So first thing we'll do is loosen up the phaser bolt. As you can see, we have the chain marked. So 2 marks past the L. We will take the bolt out and then loosen all the cam cap bolts, take the cam off, replace the last adjusters and rollers. So here's a comparison of the old cam on the left and the new cam on the right. You can see that the new cam has a lot more duration by how long or how thick the points are. You can tell this point is more thin than this one. That's the duration. We decided that since we were this deep, we might as well go ahead and change the timing out. So we did that, and we went ahead and changed the oil pump. We went with a Melling high flow. I think it's a 360. I think that's the correct term. We're also going to upgrade the water pump. We took that off. So I want to compare the water pumps here. We got the stock one and the Edelbrock. So these have bigger blades on them. So Edelbrock. And then the stock one's got a little bit different design, smaller propellers. It's a good thing we decided to change these tensioners out. If you look here, you can see that the gasket was blown out. So these were on their way out, and it was a good thing we went in there and changed them, because that was just going to get worse, and we were going to have to do it anyways. We are in the process of putting everything back together, and since we had the crank off, I thought we ought to upgrade to some Steeda underdrive pulleys. So this is the Steeda harmonic balancer and the water pump pulley. Okay, so we have everything put back together, and we're going to get ready to crank the car up for the first time. And let me show you what you got to do in order to prime those lash adjusters in the oil pump. You get under here, you see the crank position sensor right here. You have to leave that unplugged and then crank the engine. It won't start, it won't fire, it'll just crank. So you do that for about 30 seconds, and then you come back down here, plug it in, and you're primed, and you can crank the engine after that. So we've already done that, but I wanted to show you that's all you do. You just leave that unplugged to prime the engine.